And once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you, Aquaba, and welcome. Welcome to another round of the Conscious Raster Report here on LIB Radio, LIB TV, and on livinginblack.com. Kidio Wado is my name, aka the Conscious Rasta. Weekday mornings, you and I get together live. We come at you from 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. GMT, and 8 p.m. East Africa time. 7 p.m. East African time shift. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIB Radio, LIB TV. Today's date is Tuesday, the 25th of March, 6265 in the Kemetic calendar too, which we have realigned our cultural clock. You are in the 7th millennium. Maybe you didn't know that. Now you do. What we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? What a joy it is to be with you here today on LIB Radio as we continue this series and as we track and verify the skyrocketing rates of growth in cancer diagnoses, particularly in the U.S. and other rich nations. We must draw attention to thousands of environmental stressors suspected of having a carcinogenic impact. Cancer, creating thousands of environmental stressors, thousands of them. We encounter them every day. You breathe, you take a bath, you take a shower, you are exposed to carcinogens, let alone what you eat. So defending ourselves against this constant and ever increasing assault will not be easy. However, there are specific defense tactics that are viable and effective. Oh, yes, they are. Don't be the 2 out of every 5 in America, 2 out of 5 in the U.S. that will be diagnosed with cancer in your lifetime. Don't be one of the 40%. That's pretty amazing. And when we talk about pandemic, that's a pandemic. 2 out of 5 people. We'll be exploring this more and more as I finally complete this book. I've been working on this book since 2016. Finally complete this book and offer this book up to the world within the next, let's see, today's the 25th. It's going to be about 29 more days. Not quite that long. Yeah, maybe about 25, 29 days. It's going to be less than 30 days. This book is going to be available to you, our listening audience. 23, 24 days, right there. I began with this quote. Environmental exposures to carcinogens are responsible for a significant proportion of cancer cases, highlighting the need for effective public health interventions. That from the American Cancer Society, Cancer Facts and Figures 2019. Now, they are right. They are right. It's going to take an immense and effective public health intervention. Problem is, National Cancer Society they've been at this task for how long? Yeah, they're not very good at it. The National Institutes of Health, Centers for Disease Prevention, they're not very good at it. The Department of Health and Human Services, Food and Drug Administration, United States Department of Agriculture, they're not very good at it. They're awful, says no small number of reports. I'm going to share with you what we have amassed. You are the one to decide if the information and the sources that I share are credible. I just cited the American Cancer Society. They are a credible force. I have a number of other quotes. Now, I'm going to switch over right now because I've been doing a lot of research this morning, and then I went and pushed as much of it I could up into the book. I needed an hour to really just sort out what I have gathered just today. And then that is maybe another hour of sorting out on the side of that. Let's begin. I'm going to repeat part of what I used in the intro because I'm in the chapter of the book now. As we continue to track and verify the skyrocketing rates of growth in cancer diagnoses, particularly in the U.S. and other wealthy nations, we must draw attention to thousands of environmental stressors, not stresses, stressors, suspected of having a carcinogenic impact. Defending ourselves against this ever increasing assault will not be easy. However, there are specific defense tactics that are viable and effective. Don't be the 2 out of 5 in the U.S. that will be diagnosed with cancer in your lifetime. Don't be one of the 2. Out of 5 that will be diagnosed with cancer in your lifetime. Very, very serious, people. Let's go forward. What do experts say? Here are quotes. I shared one at the beginning regarding the impact of carcinogenic environmental stressors along with their references. First quote, exposure to arsenic in drinking water is a major public health concern. And long-term exposure is associated with an increased risk of various cancers, including skin, lung, and bladder cancer. That's from the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, NIEHS. Next quote, ultraviolet radiation from the sun is the primary cause of skin cancer, and reducing exposure can significantly lower the risk of developing this disease. American Cancer Society. Number 3. And here, let me do this real quickly. If you don't mind, I'm editing the book. This helps me speed up the book's publication if I do this editing in real time. So I just need to put a numbered list here, and I only had to do that one time. And there we go. And just align that numbered list. And this is what I do when I'm finishing a book, people. Okay, here we go. We have a total of 16 of these quotes I'm going to be using. They may repeat. I haven't had a chance to filter them down yet. We got up to number 3. Asbestos exposure is strongly linked to the development of mesothelioma. Mesothelioma, a rare and aggressive cancer that affects the lining of the lungs, chest, and abdomen. That from the World Health Organization. Benzene, a common industrial chemical, is a known human carcinogen and has been linked to an increased risk of leukemia and other blood cancers. Number 5, tobacco smoke contains numerous carcinogens, and exposure to secondhand smoke is estimated to cause thousands of lung cancer deaths annually among non-smokers. That is true. That is unfortunately far too true. Number 6, environmental exposures to carcinogens are responsible for a significant number of cancer cases, highlighting the need for effective public health interventions. And that from the American Cancer Society. Cancer Facts and Figures 2019. And that was the one that I used to open up the chapter. Going forward, number 7, the evidence linking environmental pollutants to cancer is compelling, and it underscores the importance of reducing exposure to these harmful substances from the World Health Organization 2016. Number 8, preventing disease through healthy environments, a global assessment of the risk of the burden of risk from environmental risks. I don't know what that's in there. That just looks like a stray because it didn't have a reference on it. Oh, that was the reference from the World Health Organization. Continuing. Number 8, carcinogenic substances in the environment can lead to increased cancer incidence, particularly in vulnerable populations. This from the National Cancer Institute 2020 Environmental Facts in Cancer. Okay, we're on a roll. Let's continue. Number 9, the link between environmental carcinogens and cancer is well established, necessitating a proactive approach, people, to environmental health and safety. This from the United States Environmental Protection Agency 2017 from a document, The Health Effects of Environmental Pollution. And let's go next. Number 10, reducing exposure to environmental carcinogens is crucial for cancer prevention and requires a collaborative effort among governments, industries, and communities. That from the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC 2018 is the reference on that. The monograph, IARC monographs on the evaluation of carcinogenic risks to humans. Number 11, environmental carcinogens are a significant contributor to the global burden of cancer, with many exposures occurring in occupational settings or through pollution. That again from the IARC, World Health Organization. Number 12, the link between environmental exposure to carcinogens and cancer is well established, highlighting the need for public health initiatives to reduce exposure. United States Environmental Protection Agency. Some of these are a little bit redundant, but that's not a bad thing. Redundancy is great when it comes to saving your life. When you're at work, don't you have redundant systems for protecting you when you're working around dangerous equipment or dangerous chemicals? You should. And number 13, reducing exposure to known carcinogens in the environment is crucial for cancer prevention and public safety, public health. That from the American Cancer Society. The next one on the list, 14, many cancers can be prevented by reducing exposure to environmental carcinogens, emphasizing the importance of regulatory measures. Yeah, that regulatory measures are undeniably important. It's just that, hey, from my personal perspective, the U.S. regulatory agency process is quite significantly deficient. It's obvious when we see so many people being diagnosed with cancer at ever younger ages. Number 15, the last on the list. The evidence is clear. Environmental factors, including carcinogenic agents, play a significant role in the development of cancer. So that gives us our central focus for today's program. Environmental exposures that lead to cancer. Let me just take a moment here to acknowledge my listening audience. I know you're in the house today, so let me just take a moment to greet you all. If you are with us on the Rumble channel, I see Basuranda is checking in. Uja all. Always, it's a joy. It's an absolute joy and a pleasure to be with you, my beloved sis star in the house. Anybody else out there want to check in? Make sure you do hit the like button as well. And let the algorithms know that you like being in this house, in this classroom. And Basuranda, yeah, I'm writing another book. I'm actually writing 3 more books, trying to see if I can get all 3 of them out before the 18th of next month. I will be undeniably setting my lifetime record for books released in a 90-day window. It's pretty amazing. But hey, we do the best we can. And I had my 6th one come out since early December, but the 90-day window for this collection actually begins on January 18. So we're on a roll, and I'm doing the best I can to make sure the books are high quality. I'm not just putting a little dibby cut and paste from AI stuff out. No, that's not your brother. You know me. If you don't know me by now, you do know me. I know you. We do the best we can with what we've got, ever striving to get more so that we can do more and do better. So welcome to the conversation today. Hey, to each and every one of you. I'm honored and pleased, and it's a pleasure to be with you. Oh, also, today is the 25th, so this is the 6th day of the vernal equinox detox fast. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I cut my hair today, and as I was looking in the mirror, I say, damn, I wonder if Playgirl magazine is open to a 69-year-old model. Because it was chiseled. I was actually, the reason I'm looking so good is because I was working, finally getting my garden up. I got some seeds planted, and I'm going to be out working on the garden for the next few days. And that's a lot of work, a lot of bending down and standing up and bending down and pulling and stretching and hammering and this and that. And then finally planting the seeds and turning the soil and doing my daily exercise. My exercise regime increases by 5 reps every 2 days on all my different, like I got 11 different routines. So it feels good to feel good. This is why we detox. Now, after you hear today's program, I bet you're going to wish you had joined, not you, Basuranda, I know you constant. I bet you everybody out there who is either never detoxed or never really taken it as a regular practice. After you hear today's program, all right, let me go into it. Why you need to learn to do the seasonal detoxes. The list of carcinogenic in the environment. And this is not even a complete list. This is a long list. Here are some common environmental stressors that have been shown, that are shown to be carcinogenic, that are carcinogenic, along with a brief explanation for each. Number 1 on the list, asbestos, a naturally occurring mineral fiber that, when inhaled, can cause lung cancer and mesothelioma due to its fibrous structure damaging lung tissue. Number 2 on the list, benzene, is a volatile organic compound found in vehicle emissions and industrial processes, linked to leukemia as it affects bone marrow and blood cell production. Number 3 on the list, formaldehyde, a colorless gas used in building materials and household products and other things that people inject into their bloodstream, associated with nasopharyngeal cancer and leukemia due to its irritant properties and DNA damage. Formaldehyde. You see it on the list. I can't tell you, because I'm streaming on YouTube today, I can't tell you all of the places where your children might encounter formaldehyde. Number 4 on the list, arsenic, a toxic element found in drinking water and certain pesticides associated with skin, bladder, and lung cancers by causing cellular damage and genetic mutations. Number 5 on the list, radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas that can accumulate in homes linked to lung cancer when inhaled, and is linked to lung cancer when inhaled, as it emits radiation that damages lung cells. Polyaromatic, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. These are organic compounds formed during incomplete combustion associated with lung and bladder cancers due to their ability to cause DNA mutations. This is also, let me put this also, a byproduct of barbecuing. Yeah, it's a byproduct of barbecue. That is true, people. Number 7, aflatoxins, naturally occurring toxins produced by mold on crops, linked to liver cancer, as they can cause severe liver damage and genetic mutations. Number 8, vinyl chloride, a chemical used in polyvinyl chloride production, PVC production, associated with liver angiosarcoma due to its carcinogenic metabolites affecting liver cells. And of course, commonly used in building materials. Commonly used in building materials. Yeah. Whew. Number 9, chloroform, a solvent found in drinking water and industrial processes, linked to liver and kidney cancers due to its potential to cause cellular damage. And we're talking about causing mutagenicity, cellular damage. That would be mutagenicity, mutagenicity. Number 10 on the list, and here, let me just, okay. Number 10 on the list, nickel compounds used in various industrial applications linked to lung and nasal cancers, as they can cause cellular damage and genetic mutations. Number 11, asbestos. We covered that one earlier. It's just repeated here. I'm going to repeat it, but I'll clean this up for the text. A naturally occurring mineral fiber linked to lung cancer and mesothelioma. Asbestos exposure occurs in construction and insulation materials, leading to serious respiratory diseases. See, I'll combine that one with the one we used earlier, and so that it doesn't overlap, but it spreads out the definition a little more complete. Why? Because you need to know as much of the story as you possibly can know. Benzene was repeated earlier. A volatile organic compound found in gasoline and industrial emissions. Every time you pump your car, don't you get a chance to smell some of those gasoline vapors? If you're doing any kind of automobile work, you're going to be breathing gasoline vapors. Benzene exposure is associated with leukemia and other blood cancers due to its effects on bone marrow. And these lists are overlapping. Formaldehyde, commonly used in building materials and household products. Formaldehyde exposure can lead to nasopharyngeal cancer and is a known irritant to the respiratory system. Arsenic. We repeated it. It's on two. I use 4 search engines: Brave, Copilot, Ecosia, and DuckDuckGo. 4 different search engines to compile this comprehensive list. That's why it's overlapping. I make no apology, but it's not going to be in the book like this. We're going to have this all cleaned up. Why? Because we don't need redundancy. We need to learn what's relevant. Arsenic, arsenic found in contaminated water and certain pesticides. Arsenic exposure is linked to skin, bladder, and lung cancers primarily through ingestion or inhalation. Radon, naturally occurring radioactive gas that can accumulate in homes. Radon exposure is the second leading cause of lung cancer, especially among smokers. Wow. That's pretty significant. We continue. Number 16, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Produced from burning coal, oil, gas, or other organic substances, including hamburgers, chicken, hot dogs, vegetables. When you barbecue, when you're cooking proteins at very high temperatures, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons are a byproduct. PAHs are linked to lung, bladder, and skin cancers due to their mutagenic properties. Now, y'all don't believe me. Let me just take a second here. I'm going to go over to Brave. Let's use Brave. I like Brave as a search engine and as a web browser. Brave is much more safe. But I'm just going to ask Brave real quickly, is there a link between barbecue and carcinogen, especially red meat that contains NEU 5GC? Ooh, Kitty, you loaded up that question. NEU 5GC. Yeah, I loaded up their question with two carcinogens in one. So now we're searching for that. We're going to go to the AI search, and here's what it has to say. Barbecue and red meat carcinogens. Grilling red meat, including beef, can produce carcinogens like heterocyclic amines, HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, that are linked to cancer risk. HCAs form when meat is cooked at high temperatures, while PAHs are created when fat from the meat drips onto the flame and the resulting smoke and flames coat the meat. Research indicates a connection between the consumption of well-done grilled or barbecued red meat and an increased risk of colorectal cancer, prostate cancer, and possibly other types of cancer. However, the context does not provide specific information about red meat containing NEU 5GC and its relation to carcinogens from barbecuing. More research will be needed to establish a direct link between NEU 5GC in red meat and carcinogen formation during grilling. Okay, but what's this? Now I'm going to copy, cut, and paste all of that. Let me just copy that whole section. And it does have some references that I'm going to find very handy as well. So I'm going to copy, cut, and paste that first section. But watch this. I'm going to take a series of words out of here because I saw them in here. NEU 5GC and its relationship to carcinogens, and then eliminate all the stuff about cooking it. And watch this. Copy, search Brave for that, and here we go. NEU 5GC and carcinogens. Now, this is the first time I'm seeing this particular reference because I'm using AI in real time. But I have been studying and revealing this since 2014, December 2014 article that I encountered in San Diego State University research. NEU, 5GC, and carcinogens. NEU, 5GC, a non-human celiac acid sugar molecule, is prevalent in red meat and pig organs, with concentrations increasing as the organs are cooked. When consumed, NEU 5GC gets incorporated into human cells, leading to an immune response that produces antibodies against it. This repeated consumption can cause chronic inflammation, which increases the risk of tumor formation. Studies have shown that high consumption of red and processed meat is commonly associated with increased cancer risk, particularly colorectal cancer. NEU 5GC and the antibodies against it exacerbate cancer in human-like mice, and similar effects are observed in humans. Higher NEU 5GC intake from red meat and dairy leads to increased levels and altered repertoires of anti-NEU 5GC antibodies, which are linked to cancer risk. Moreover, in human-like NEU 5GC deficient mouse model, exposure to anti-NEU 5GC antibodies and dietary NEU 5GC resulted in a significantly higher incidence of carcinomas, with a 5-fold increase in tumor occurrence. 500% increase in tumor occurrence from red meat and dairy, let alone if you barbecue it. And pork organs, pig organs. I'm going to repeat. Moreover, in a human-like NEU 5GC deficient mouse model, exposure to anti-NEU 5GC antibodies and dietary NEU 5GC resulted in significantly higher incidence of carcinomas, with a 5-fold increase in tumor occurrence. This suggests that the interaction between dietary NEU 5GC and anti-NEU 5GC antibodies promotes chronic inflammation, which can contribute to carcinogenesis. In summary, NEU 5GC consumption from red meat and dairy can influence the levels and characteristics of circulating anti-NEU 5GC antibodies, potentially increasing the risk of cancer, particularly colorectal cancer. So I'm going to put that one into my list over here, and I'll have to, of course, add a little bit to it to make sure that it reflects that this is from red meat and dairy. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste that into my list. That's number 17 on the list. And number 17 reads, NEU 5GC consumption from red meat and dairy can influence the levels and characteristics of circulating anti-NEU 5GC antibodies, potentially increasing the risk of cancer, particularly colorectal cancer. Number 18, aflatoxins. These are naturally occurring toxins produced by mold on crops. Aflatoxins are potent carcinogens associated with liver cancer, particularly in regions with poor food storage practices. Number 19, vinyl chloride. This was covered previously. I'm repeating it. Number 19, a chemical used in PVC production, vinyl chloride exposure is linked to liver angiosarcoma and other cancers, particularly affecting workers in the manufacturing industry. Chloroform, a byproduct of water chlorination and used in industrial processes. Chloroform exposure has been associated with liver and kidney cancers in animal studies. Nickel compounds, it's repeating, found in mining and industrial processes. Nickel compounds are linked to lung and nasal cancers, particularly among workers exposed to high levels. Cadmium, a metal found in batteries and industrial emissions. Cadmium exposure is associated with lung cancer and kidney damage, primarily through inhalation. And cadmium, I believe, is a radioactive metal. I'll have to double check on that. Number 23 on the list, ethylene oxide, used as a sterilizing agent and in chemical manufacturing. Ethylene oxide exposure is linked to breast and stomach cancers, particularly in occupational settings. Silica dust. Crystalline silica exposure in industries like construction and mining is linked to lung cancer and silicosis, a chronic lung disease caused by inhalation. Tobacco smoke, a well-known carcinogen. Tobacco smoke contains numerous harmful chemicals that lead to lung cancer and various other cancers, affecting both smokers and through secondhand smoke. Number 26, ionizing radiation. This includes X-rays and gamma rays. Ionizing radiation exposure is linked to various cancers, including leukemia and thyroid cancer due to DNA damage. Number 27, non-ionizing radiation includes ultraviolet radiation from the sun, which is linked to skin cancers, particularly melanoma, due to its ability to damage skin cells, DNA. Dioxins, byproducts of industrial processes and waste incineration. Dioxins are linked to various cancers, including soft tissue sarcoma, due to their endocrine disrupting properties. That introduces a whole nother set of properties, endocrine disrupting chemicals. That has to do with fertility and reproduction. Number 29, brominated flame retardants, used in various consumer products. These chemicals are linked to thyroid cancer and other health issues due to their persistence in the environment and the human body. Pesticides, example given glyphosate. Certain pesticides have been linked to non-Hodgkin lymphoma and other cancers, primarily through agricultural exposure and pesticide residues in food. Yeah, and let me say pesticide residues in non-organic food. We want to make sure we get the solution as many times as possible. Number 31, heavy metals. And in fact, I'm on my detox and I'm about to, actually I'm still on the colon cleansing phase. Next I'll do the liver, flesh, gallbladder, flesh, and then comes the chelation therapy to remove these toxic chemicals. Heavy metals, example given, lead, mercury. It also includes arsenic, cadmium, aluminium or aluminum, mercury, excessive iron. Yes, these are toxic in the body. Exposure to heavy metals is associated with various cancers, including lung and bladder cancers, primarily through occupational exposure and environmental contamination, primarily through the food supply, occupational exposure, and environmental contamination, which would include cooking utensils. Yeah, you got to know. Number 32, aromatic amines, found in dyes and rubber manufacturing. Aromatic amines are linked to bladder cancer due to their ability to form DNA adducts. Okay. Number 33, chlorinated solvents used in degreasing and dry cleaning. Exposure to chlorinated solvents like trichloroethylene is linked to kidney and liver cancers. Number 34, soot and particulate matter. Airborne pollutants from combustion processes are linked to lung cancer and cardiovascular diseases due to their ability to penetrate deep into the lungs. Number 35, wood dust. Exposure to wood dust, particularly from hardwoods, is linked to nasal and throat cancers, primarily affecting workers in the woodworking industry. Number 36, cobalt compounds. Used in industrial applications, cobalt exposure is linked to lung cancer and other respiratory diseases, particularly among workers in mining and manufacturing. Number 37, tobacco smoke. We mentioned it earlier. Contains carcinogens like benzene and formaldehyde, damaging DNA and causing lung, throat, and other cancers with prolonged exposure. Number 38 is repeat UV radiation. Excessive sun exposure leads to DNA damage, increasing risk of skin cancers like melanoma. Asbestos appears again on the list. Fibers lodge in lung tissue, causing inflammation and mesothelioma, a rare cancer. Radon gas appears on this list. Again, I'd use 4 search engines, so if some of these repeat 4 times, well, at least you know we're being thorough. And then the explanation for each one will differ slightly. Radon gas, radioactive gas from soil and rocks, accumulates indoors, causing lung cancer. Number 41, arsenic, found in contaminated water. It damages cells and increases risks of skin, bladder, and lung cancers. Number 42, benzene is mentioned again here on this list. Industrial solvent and pollutant linked to leukemia and other blood cancers. Number 43, formaldehyde, once again used in building materials. It irritates tissues and increases risk of nasopharyngeal cancer. And again, we also saw briefly, it talks about formaldehyde in cigarette smoke. Air pollution, fine particulate matter, damages lungs, increasing risk of lung and other cancers. Number 45, pesticides. Exposure to certain chemicals disrupts cellular processes, increasing cancer risks. Number 46, vinyl chloride. Used in plastics, it damages liver cells, causing liver cancer. And then there's a whole nother spectrum of chemicals in plastics. I hope we get to some of those here today too. Number 47, coal tar, found in industrial settings. It contains polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, increasing skin and lung cancer risks. Number 48, crystalline silica. We mentioned that earlier. Inhalation during mining or construction causes lung inflammation and cancer. Secondhand smoke, that's been repeated. Wood dust, we had mentioned that one earlier. I'm going to shorten some of these explanations. Ethylene oxide, used in sterilization. We had mentioned that one a little bit earlier. It damages DNA, increasing risks of leukemia and lymphoma, blood cancers. Cadmium, found in batteries and industrial processes. It damages cells, increasing risks of lung and prostate cancers. Nickel compounds, we've mentioned several times. Occupational exposure increases risk of lung and nasal cancers. And you notice how these descriptions, I asked for in the inquiry a 20-word description of each, and some of these are really kind of short. Soot contains carcinogens, increasing risk of skin and lung cancers. Trichloroethylene, an industrial solvent linked to kidney and liver cancers. Hexavalent chromium, used in industrial processes. It damages DNA, increasing risks of lung cancer. Erionite, E-R-I-O-N-I-T-E, erionite, naturally occurring mineral fiber linked to mesothelioma. So it sounds like asbestos. Strong acid mists. Occupational exposure increases risk of laryngeal and lung cancers. Coke oven emissions. Industrial exposure increases risk of lung and kidney cancers. Mineral oils, untreated oils, increase risks of skin cancer. Number 61, indoor coal combustion releases carcinogens, increasing risk of lung cancer. Number 62, arsenic once again appears on this list. Produced by naturally occurring in air, water, and soil, linked to various cancers when ingested over extended periods. Aflatoxins, we mentioned that one, produced by fungi on plants like corn, peanuts, and tree nuts, associated with cancer risk. Ultraviolet UV radiation from the sunlight, major cause of skin cancer. Asbestos, we mentioned earlier. Wood dust, we mentioned that one earlier. Coal tar products, I just mentioned that a couple of times here. Used in pavement and roofing, increase cancer risk, especially when absorbed through skin. Pavement and roofing, how often are you and I exposed to pavement or roofing? Number 68 on the list, benzene, present in crude oil and used as a solvent linked to cancer. 69, vinyl chloride. While these are repeating, I assure you, if I just had time, I could probably make a list of 300 to 400 to maybe 700 or more, and there would not be repeating. That's just the way it is. Vinyl chloride used in manufacturing. Soot, organic carcinogens, and heavy metals, harmful when inhaled. Tobacco smoke, kind of obvious, contains over 7,000 chemicals. Contains over 7,000 chemicals, including 69 carcinogens. There is no safe level of exposure. Now that one I want to highlight and make sure that one gets mixed into the final when I compile the list. So that is 71, of which probably when the redundant ones are removed will be probably around 40 to 50. These are environmental exposures associated with increased risk of cancer. But wait a minute. The next, I think I may just make this a chapter. It's right now is a subchapter. I'll decide later. Pharmaceutical drugs exposed as carcinogenic risk. Let me just go ahead and make a page break here. And this is now a chapter. Because I've been working on this one for a long time. I go into it and out of it from time to time. And it's kind of scandalous because you'll find on this list of pharmaceutical drugs that cause cancer or associated with cancer causation include cancer chemotherapies. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm using references from, I spent quite a bit of time on this yesterday, and it takes me to the peer review medical journal system. That's where this research is being done, people. I began with the cytotoxic impact of cancer chemotherapy. The oncologist's idea is to use chemotherapy as a main means for lowering the multiplication of cancer cells or to destroy them altogether. It would be ideal if the drug being administered spared healthy cells while only destroying the deadly ones. However, nearly every cancer chemotherapeutic agent destroys tissue cells. Pathological or physiological, sick or well, mutagenic or homeostatic. Let me repeat that whole sentence. It would be ideal if the drug being administered spared healthy cells while only destroying the deadly ones. However, nearly every cancer chemotherapeutic agent destroys tissue cells, pathological or physiological, sick or well, mutagenic or homeostatic. Almost all of the chemotherapeutic agents in an oncologist's armamentarium are cytotoxic, with cyto referring to any cell and toxic pointing to poison. That was from the article, from the book, The Gerson Therapy by Charlotte Gerson, page 202. Let's go through some of these. First subcategory is psychiatric medications put 49 million Americans at risk for cancer. What does the data show? A signal of harm, plain and simple. In their paper, Carcinogenicity of Psychotropic Drugs from Amirio et al., it found, quote, point, 63.6% of antidepressants were associated with carcinogenicity, specifically mirtazapine, sertraline, paroxetine, citalopram, and escitalopram, duloxetine, and bupropion. And yeah, this is where the language gets a little tough. But stick with us. It's where we learn. And is anybody talking to me? Nobody talking to me. But I know you're there. I can feel it in my bones. Hi. And I appreciate you being in the house. If you can, there is a scrolling screen at the bottom of your window. It says you can be a supporter of what we do here at LIB Radio. I would most certainly appreciate it. I want to thank all of you who do go out of your way and show love and support. I had a contribution, actually someone buying a group of my books just yesterday. And I just wanted to acknowledge my beloved Queen Mother, Vivian, who is a frequent listener. Vivian, you are so precious. You are such a darling, not only in my life, everyone who knows you Everyone who knows you is inspired and excited by your energy, your passion, your dedication. That's why we acknowledge you as a wise and esteemed queen. I want to thank you for buying the 5-book discounted collection. Thank you, beloved. I sure do appreciate, love you for all you do. And going forward, anybody want to make a donation? My Cash App is right there. $ KEIDIOB, KEIDIOBI. That will get you that donation. And if there's any other way that you want to make a donation and you're not able to use Cash App, here's my text number: 702-580-0662. Just drop me a text. We'll do the best we can to work out so that you can get your hands on these beautiful books. I got 6 of them now in the newest collection. The first of which came out in early December: Living Superfood Solutions, Dietary Strategies to Prevent and Reverse Common Chronic Diseases. Cancer, there's a chapter on cancer in that one. The second one to come out the same month, December 2024, Disaster Preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6. What? Yeah, World Wars 5 and 6. If you're still hung up on them telling you there's a threat of World War III, you are so far behind. The third one to come out in this section, one of my best books ever, my 3rd book on longevity, The Stem Cell Revolution, a holistic approach to stem cell activation and regenerative therapy. Wonderful book. This book is awesome. This book has got me feeling so good. It's got me feeling just so good. And then the next one in that series came out, The African Future, Empowering a United and Prosperous Africa, Future Generations. Really good one. Then came Quantum Advancement, Spectacular Discoveries Along the Magnificent Journey by I Am Ka, the brother from the future. So this book is a Afrofuturistic, but it's combined with fact-based science. And then the most recent one, just in my hands, just a few days, less than a week, Standard Omission, The African Scientific Roots of Greco-Roman Medicine. This is a wonderful new reference book for those of us who do our research, do our advocacy. Well, here's a whole set of facts that you can have in your hand. If you've never read any of my 58 books now, join the family. I'll welcome you aboard. And if there's anybody that can help me to get the idea out about these books, you may have a podcast or a radio show or know someone who does or can put me in contact with someone, I would be most grateful. We are in the part of the book. It says psychiatric medications put 49 million Americans at risk for cancer. What does the data show? We got up to the first point. I'll start again. 63.6% of antidepressants were associated with carcinogenicity. Point 2, 90% of antipsychotic agents were associated with carcinogenicity. All agents were associated with carcinogenicity except clozapine. Might be clozapine. Point 70% of benzodiazepines, pretty nasty class, hypnotics, were associated with carcinogenicity, specifically clonazepam, zolpidem, zolpidem, diazepam, ezopiclone, oxazepam, and midazolam. And many of these have commercial names you probably recognize from the TV commercials. I'll try and put those commercial names in because you may be taking them and not recognizing them from their chemical name, and that would be an injustice for me to allow these to slip by your guard. 25% of amphetamines stimulants were associated with carcinogenicity, with methylphenidate specifically associated. 85.7% of anticonvulsant drugs, mood stabilizers, were associated with carcinogenicity, with only one agent, lamotrigine, not associated with carcinogenicity. Those associated with carcinogenicity were valproate, carbamazepine, gabapentin, pregabalin, oxcarbazepine, and topiramate. And some of them names sound like chemical formulas. They all are. Which pharmaceutical drugs have been identified or known as possible carcinogens? This is a riff on the same question. I should say, what other pharmaceutical drugs have been identified or known as possible carcinogens? Number one, alkylating agents. These chemo drugs interfere with the cell's DNA in a certain way. Alkylating agents known to cause leukemia include mechlorethanine, chlorambucil, cyclophosphamide, which is known as Cytoxan, melphalan, lumistine, CCNU, carmustine, BCNU, and busulfan. All of that was in quotes. With this class of chemotherapy agents, sometimes the secondary cancer occurs years after initial treatment. And that was from an article, How Does Chemotherapy Affect the Risk of Second Cancers? From the American Cancer Society. Number two on the list, ampicillin, an antibiotic, quote, specifically associated with an increased risk for lung cancer, unquote. Number three, antacids. These commonly used digestive aids are associated with an increased risk of cancer of the esophagus. Number four, antihistamic agents, two of which, mesclidine and dexchlorofenaramine, are associated with increased risk of carcinogenicity. And I got that second one. I got them again. Antihistamic agents, mesclidine and dexchlorofenaramine. That's 5 syllables. That's not so hard. Number five, benzodiazepines. The most recognized of this class of psychoactive drugs is diazepam or Valium. Quote, this is an anxiety-reducing, hypnotic, sedative, and anticonvulsive drug that acts rapidly. It is used to treat panic attacks, insomnia, seizures, restless leg syndrome, and alcohol withdrawal. Diazepam is also used for the treatment of benzodiazepine dependence due to its low potency, unquote. That from an article, Benzodiazepines, Uses, Types, Side Effects, and Risks from Medical News Today, January 2018. Continuing, bronchodilators. A survey of genotoxicity and carcinogenicity studies of bronchodilators and anti-asthma drugs found that out of 46 marketed brands, 25, 54.3%, did not have retrievable genotoxicity or carcinogenicity data. The remaining 21, 45.7%, had at least one genotoxicity or carcinogenicity study available. This suggests that the carcinogenic risk of many bronchodilators remains unclear due to a lack of comprehensive data. They just haven't studied them or tested them. Number 7, bupropion. Bupropion is prescribed for treating depression and helping with smoking cessation. It is also sometimes used off-label for conditions like ADHD and bipolar disorder. It is generally not carcinogenic, but some studies suggest a possible link to increased lung cancer risk at high exposure levels. Further research is needed to confirm these findings. Carbamazepine. Studies suggest carbamazepine use may increase the risk of squamous cell carcinoma, possibly due to its effect on hepatic enzyme induction and immune system modulation. This is getting exhausting, people. Ugh. Reading these long words, plus I'm stressed, I'm tense when I'm reading it because of such an intensity, because of the subject matter. I hope you do appreciate it. Rhonda's the only one that said anything to me today. She said, greetings, uja all. And I understand, yes, I've carved out a lonely niche, podcasting, science-based research, and writing books on what we find and how we think it's relevant and important. I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, because I have a collective of people who we communicate with each other regularly. But I wish this were the majority of people. It's not even close to the majority. Small. So if you are one of the few, the proud, the brave, and not in the Marines, or you might be in the Marines. Marines can be the few, the proud, the brave as well. We recognize it. We show love to you. I do see Alter Ego in the house. Z to the E in the house. Great to have you with us today. And, thank you for being a part of the family. Going forward, we're up to number 8 of this list. And this list is long. Let me see real quickly. We're up to number 8. This list has about 30 on it. And that's just this list. Then I go to the next list or so. But let's just get through this list. Carbamazepine, I used that one. I finished that. Number 9, chemotherapy drugs. While administered to treat cancer progression, several chemotherapy drugs actually increase the risk of cancer proliferation. Quote, some cancer treatments, such as chemotherapy and radiation therapy, may increase a person's risk of developing a different type of cancer later in life, unquote. The cancers most often linked to chemotherapy drugs are myelodysplastic syndrome, MDS, and acute myelogenous leukemia, AML. The risk of developing leukemia increases even more if radiation is given along with chemotherapy drugs, cisplatin or carboplatin. Number 10 on the list, cisplatin. This widely used chemotherapeutic agent has been associated with concerns regarding the risk of secondary cancers, particularly leukemia and myelodysplasia. Several studies have investigated this risk, providing insights into the potential long-term effects of cisplatin-based chemotherapy. So, that takes us to number 11 on the list, citalopram. Citalopram is prescribed for treating major depressive disorder, MDD, and used off-label for conditions such as anxiety disorders, panic disorder, and obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. The use of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, so-called SSRIs, including citalopram, was associated with a higher risk of breast cancer mortality. Specifically, SSRI users were at a 27% higher risk of breast cancer death compared to non-users, with a more pronounced risk for those using SSRIs for over 3 years. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Oncology in 2019 found that the use of SSRIs, including sertraline, was associated with a higher risk of breast cancer mortality. Number 12 on our list, clonazepam, commonly marketed as Xanax. Multiple studies going back to 2015 have found that the risk of cancer among benzodiazepine users was significantly higher, with clonazepam users showing a 98% higher risk for brain cancer, 25% higher risk for colorectal cancer, and 10% higher risk for lung cancer compared to non-users. I'm going to repeat that. That's very shocking. Clonazepam, commonly marketed as Xanax. Multiple studies going back to 2015 have found that the risk of cancer among benzodiazepine users was significantly higher, with clonazepam users showing a 98% higher risk for brain cancer, 25% higher risk for colorectal cancer, and a 10% higher risk for lung cancer compared to non-users. Benzodiazepines are prescribed for the treatment of anxiety disorders, panic disorders, and anxiety associated with depression. It is also occasionally used off-label for conditions like insomnia and premenstrual syndrome. 98% higher risk for brain cancer. That's quite shocking. Number 13 on our list, contraceptives. Oral. The pill might cause a small increase in breast cancer. It's unclear if hormonal IUDs do the same. Quote, the link between birth control pills and breast cancer cells? I'll repeat, the link between birth control pills and breast cancer has been controversial, unquote, says Dr. Goldfrank. Quote, studies looking at this have gone back and forth, unquote. Birth control pills might increase the risk of breast cancer a small amount, especially for women who currently use or are recently used birth control pills. Any elevated risk seems to decrease over time after stopping use. Even less is known about the link between hormonal IUDs and breast cancer, says Dr. Goldfrank. Quote, it's not clear yet, unquote, she says. Number 14, dicyclamine. This antispasmodic agent used to treat irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, has been evaluated for its genotoxicity and carcinogenicity. According to a comprehensive review of genotoxicity and carcinogenicity assays performed on marketed antihistamines, which includes dicyclamine, 29 out of 70 drugs, 41.4%, have at least one genotoxicity and or carcinogenicity test result. Number 15, diazepam. This widely used benzodiazepine has been the subject of numerous studies to evaluate its potential genotoxic and carcinogenic effects. Studies have shown that diazepam can exhibit mutagenic and genotoxic effects in certain in vivo and in vitro assays. For instance, diazepam was found to induce chromosomal aberrations in bone marrow cells of mice, suggesting a potential risk to human health. Number 16, diethylstilbestrol. Doctors prescribed DES from 1938 until 1971 to some pregnant women who had experienced miscarriages or premature deliveries. DES is classified as a human carcinogen based on extensive epidemiological and experimental evidence linking exposure to a significantly increased risk of developing clear cell adenocarcinoma of the vagina and cervix. Studies suggest that in utero exposure to DES may also increase the risk of testicular cancer in males, known as, quote, DES sons, unquote. It's a major endocrine disrupting chemical, diethylstilbestrol. Number 17, erythromycin, an antibiotic, quote, significantly associated with an increased risk for lung cancer, unquote. Number 18, escitalopram, commonly known as Lexapro, and prescribed for depression, anxiety, panic disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and social anxiety disorder. While not specific to escitalopram, a comprehensive survey of the mutagenic impact of common cancer cytotoxics highlighted that many chemotherapeutic drugs, including some SSRIs, can cause genomic mutations. These mutations can contribute to the development of secondary malignancies and treatment-resistant tumor cells. Number 19, estrogens. Premarin, prescribed for hormone replacement therapy, HRT, in postmenopausal women, has been shown to increase risk of heart attacks and cancers in postmenopausal women. And I wrote about that one in my book quite extensively. The book is called Living Superfood Longevity. The chapter called The Specific Challenge to Women's Hormonal Integrity. It's a very important chapter. I hope all of my sisters got a chance to read that chapter. I put a lot of work into that. Some of these I haven't got the details on. A couple of on this list, I just ran out of time yesterday and was doing these. I was doing this until midnight, y'all. Esopiclone, gabapentin. Number 22, hormone replacement therapy. This one goes with the estrogen replacement therapy, Premarin. Treating menopausal symptoms with estrogen and progestin together is known as estrogen-progestin therapy, EPT, or combined hormone therapy. Although estrogen alone improves the symptoms of menopause, it increases the risk of cancer of the uterus, endometrial cancer. And in the book, I had a lot more to say about that, including about 2 pages of data from the manufacturer at the time, Wyeth Ayerhurst, a Canadian company. I think it's just Ayerhurst now. Number 23, limotrizine. Research indicates limotrizine use is associated with a higher risk of squamous cell sarcoma, carcinoma, not sarcoma, potentially through mechanisms involving immune system alterations and increased DNA damage. And let me just make one quick correction there. I don't have detailed information for losartan, methylphenidate, midazolam, mirtazapine, oxazepam, oxcarbazepine, paroxetine, pregabalin. So those, I'll try and have detailed information. People are on these drugs. Number 32, sertraline, commonly known as Zoloft. It is prescribed for the treatment of major depressive disorder, anxiety, panic, and social anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. It is sometimes used off-label for premenstrual dysphoric disorder and certain types of chronic pain. But I didn't answer the question, is sertraline Zoloft associated with carcinogenic impact? Let me just copy that, and we're going to go over here, and I'm just going to real quickly look this up. Ask the question, is sertraline, commonly known as Zoloft, associated with carcinogenic, come on, fingers, or mutagenic impact in humans. In other words, cause cancer. Okay, so that was the inquiry. Copy the inquiry because I may want to do it a second time. And where is it? Okay, I think I got it. Sertraline, commonly known as Zoloft, is a selective serotonin used to treat depression and anxiety disorders. Current research does not conclusively establish a direct link between sertraline and cancer in humans. Some studies have explored its potential genotoxic effects, which involve DNA damage, but findings remain inconclusive, which means it's been studied and AI was too inadequately prepared to go find these studies. Additionally, while certain antidepressants have been associated with tumor promoting or suppressing properties in preclinical studies, the evidence for sertraline specifically is limited and requires further investigation, which means it does exist, but they don't have enough information. If you're concerned about the long-term effects of sertraline, consulting a healthcare professional is the best course of action. They put you on it and they didn't even know. So I'm going to just take a little bit of this study. Some studies have shown its potential, but findings remain inconclusive. I'll just copy that and use that for right now. Paste, and then leave it alone. Next one on the list, 33, tamoxifen. Ooh, this one is scandalous, y'all. It's hard to imagine a breast cancer treatment drug that is also identified as a carcinogen. Quote, tamoxifen is an anti-estrogenic drug widely used for adjuvant therapy of breast cancer. Its use has caused an increased incidence of endometrial cancer, and it is a potent carcinogen in rat liver. That reference was from Understanding the Genotoxicity of Tamoxifen by David H. Phillips from Carcinogenesis Journal, Volume 22, Issue 6, number of June 2001. They've known since 2001 of this association with tamoxifen and cancer. Wow. Number 34, tetracycline, an antibiotic, quote, significantly associated with an increased risk for lung cancer, unquote. Then I have a few more here on this list: topiramate, valproate, valsartan, zaloplan, and zolpidem. I don't have explanations for those. And then we got through that whole chapter. I think we went through 2 chapters today, didn't we? Let me just double check. That was a lot of work today. A lot of work. And this chapter was entitled, we did through 2 chapters. The first one, a vast spectrum of environmental stressors. And the second chapter we went through today, pharmaceutical drugs exposed as carcinogenic risk. That's what I do. That's what we do here. Are you proud of your brother? Are you proud of your brother? For this research? Most people won't answer the question. But I'm proud of myself. I take pride and dignity in what we do to the very best of our abilities. And then we always seek to do even better, even better. So on that note, I did it. Got through all of that. That was 2 chapters of the book we went through today. I got a lot of cleaning up, a lot of reference, as some of those I need to delete or just make a note. Didn't get a chance to do all of these with following, or for you to do. If you're on these drugs, they are suspected of. Yes, they are. It wouldn't be on this list if they weren't suspected of being carcinogenic or mutagenic. Carcinogenic meaning cause cancer. Mutagenic means alter your DNA or RNA. If you are in Las Vegas, we're coming up on the first Saturday of the month. Just a little bit over, less than 2 weeks away, the 5th of April. We're going to be having a feast over here. And let me just tell you why you want to come to a feast. April 5th, first Saturday, Las Vegas feast. The menu, I've just put together the menu. I'm going to get in the kitchen. You know me. You see how I do it here on the radio broadcast. I am intense. I'm intense. This is not obsessive compulsive disorder. This is just a brother saying, hey, this is the right thing to do, so let me do it to the best of my abilities. We're going to have drinks. We believe hydration is key to life. So when you walk in, we usually will offer you cucumber water or lime water. We'll also have hibiscus juice, fizzy tart cherry juice. That's a homemade soda pop. That's a healthy soda. We'll have Rooibos green tea. I'm going to make one of my favorites from Recipes Volume 1, eggnog. We're going to have nut milk, and I'm going to make you a chocolate banana smoothie. So that's a total of 8 drinks on the 5th. Appetizers, I have 7 on here. I probably have more than that. Veggie pate. We will be serving our regular blue corn chips, organic blue corn chips. Whole grain crackers, non-GMO. Not cheese pate. Whenever I make the nut milk now, I make the not cheese. Dehydrated apple slices. Pico de gallo, one of my favorites. And yam chips. Yes, we're going to have yam chips as well. For soup, we're going to have sprouted lentil chili. This is a raw soup. So this is the first time I think I've served a raw soup at one of our vegan feasts in a couple of years. Maybe 10 years or 12 years or more since I was doing them in LA. We're going to serve raw sprouted lentil chili. Bread, I'm going to be serving onion bread, dehydrated raw. For entrees, we have 4 entrees. Beet, carrot, almond, flax burgers. Going to be more like burger balls, not whole burgers. Tuna salad with nori wrap snacks, so you can wrap your own in case you want it like sushi. Sloppy Joe burger mix with zucchini flax wraps. That's 2 dishes in one. That one is awesome, 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 awesome. And then unchicken nuggets. I haven't made that in a long time. My unchicken nuggets send all the girls to the yard. And on side dishes, we got kale with cashew cream cheese. This will be the first time I've made this. Color salad. Honey mustard dressing for the salad. plantain, summer corn salad. It's almost summer now. Time to revive that favorite recipe, summer corn salad. Curried chickpeas. Oh, yeah. Wild rice with mushrooms. Oh, yeah, yeah. So those are the side dishes, a couple of which are almost entrees themselves. For desserts, I'm going to be making apple pie with cinnamon sauce and chocolate haystacks. Total of 30 dishes on the menu. You're going to have to get your seat reserved quickly. So text me if you want to be at the feast here in Las Vegas in the Desert Shores section of town. We have a beautiful lakeside home. Do come by. Help us make this kitchen pay the bills. Do come by. You will have access to my books. I have a total of 6 brand new books, but you'll also have access to my 4 books of recipes, my countless library of health related books. I have a huge collection of health related books. So I always encourage people, take a book or 2 home with you until you get a chance to dine with us again. Feed your mind, feed your brain, feed your spirit, feed your soul. Or take the recipes books home and feed your friends and your neighbors and your family too. The 5th, it's going to be Saturday, April the 5th, 5 to 7 p.m. And you'll get a chance to see my new garden. That's a beautiful thing. We are almost finished with this 56-day stem cell rejuvenation campaign. I'm going to take a month or 2 off of teaching the class because I'm just like overstretched. There's a couple of other classes I've been wanting to teach. Still got the writer's classes ongoing for a few more weeks. The books, my books are all going to the printer on the appointed date. I got other students in different stages. Hopefully, everybody's going to hit their target right and publish your book in 90 days. I said 90 days. We started on January 18. Publication date for your book. When's your book coming out? April 18. Wow, that's pretty specific. Yeah, I'm studying with Kitty. Kitty don't play around with targets. I don't play around with targets. I think we should all get serious about what we are going to do. And on that note, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you. You've been tuned into your favorite. I hope we are your favorite. I got a good sized audience. Did anybody else hit the like button? No. Just you and Basuranda. I know you love me. I still have the 5-book discount deal out. And you can get these 5 books. Living Superfood Solutions, Disaster Preparedness for World Wars 5 and 6, The Stem Cell Revolution, The African Future in Quantum Advancement. I have those 5 books available in case you want to get the deal. I put the 5 of them together and discounted it by 25%. With postage, that comes to $72. That's not a bad deal. I want to thank you for your love, for your support, for all you do, not just for me, but for all you do for all of us. You are a team player. And that's why you are so loved and appreciated, because you recognize and respond to what the team needs. And bear with me. Okay, there it goes. Sometimes it takes a minute for my portable MP3 player to link up with the playback unit. You've been tuned into your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio. We are livinginblack.com. Tell your friends to tell their friends. We have our own now. And we're very proud of who we are, what we have, and what we do. And we're even more proud to do it with you. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you on LIB Radio, LIB TV, and on livinginblack.com. Hey, take a little book tour as we go ahead and close out.